Gentlemen, start your engine!
All right, as we get ready for a big week in Chicago for NASCAR, I felt it was fitting to have Brendan Fraser kick us off from his intro into Chicagoland. I believe that was 2018. When did Chicagoland end?
19, because they didn't go in 2020 because the lockdowns and stuff there, and they never went back. So
Okay.
2019 would have been the last one.
Yeah, let me see. Was that 2018? I can't see it there. Let's see. Let's see if it shows. No, actually, wow, that was way back. That was 2008.
Oh wow, decade before.
Okay, so that was that was way back. All right. Anyway, Chicago. Before we get into that, we have some racing to talk about. That's cool, right? I guess after a week off, not that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not that the racing we saw once again on Sunday was anything great. Matter of fact, it was, boy, you talk about not being able to pass. That was incredible. I mean, I have never seen a race before that was that difficult. Like, you just knew, and no matter how close Martin Truex Jr. got to the lead, no matter who it was that he was chasing, especially late, like in a normal race, if a driver is catching up and he's like a second, and then he's half a second, and then he's 4/10 of a second, and he's getting that, he's usually going to pass. That's just, he's going to pass him. Eventually, he's going to get. That's it. He just could not get any closer than that. And I'm not saying Ross Chastain wasn't the best car, because he probably was, but so was Truex, and they never got a chance to get close, and there wasn't any drama. That, as fans, that's what we want. We didn't get it.
That's the slippery. That is a prime example of Sunday night's race where the slippery slope NASCAR is trying to figure out. With you got cars, they were bunched up because the aero package didn't allow them to get spread out, so they were running closer together. But as you also said, they weren't passing; they were just kind of there. It was hard. It was actually one of the 5 points that I wrote about that was posted yesterday. About, I think it was the second or third point down, about how hard it was. Yeah, the racing was better than what we probably expected for what it used, what everybody thought would be there.
Yeah.
I see in the back the truck and Xfinity days in the early 2000s when it was just boring.
Yes.
However, if you read the quotes of what the drivers were saying, Hamlin, Truex, Chastain, yeah, they kind of track position, dirty air. They all said the same thing. Once you got out front, it was hard to be passed. And if you even had a fast car and you got behind, it was hard to get back up. So it's hard to say whether Chastain was the better. He looked like the better car, but what could Truex have done with a different package? So
true.
That's where the slippery slope is you don't want too much spread out because it's harder to pass per se. It looks like it's like a processional, but you don't want them too close because you also can't pass. There's a fine line in the middle of tires fall off. You can spread out a little bit, but you can still pass as you're spreading out a little bit. Not just so many feet between cars and a single file spread out too. So there's a fine line between it. This one was the too extreme, I think. It almost reminded me not of a pack race like Daytona or Talladega and Atlanta where you're all running side by side together, but it was also in the same instance where you couldn't make any moves to move up through the field either. So it was kind of a hybrid, but I think it does bode the question, which is my last point of that article too I wrote, was, is Nashville done enough to stay for this track? Because we know that the fairgrounds is probably coming, right? I mean, all this work has gone on to revitalize that place, to bring the fairgrounds back. But you don't think NASCAR is going to go to Nashville twice a year on two different tracks. I mean, you're going to oversaturate that market. However, this race, I feel like, has found its spot. It was better than I think anybody thought it would. The race was sold out. It's a night race, which is what we got. So what are they going to do? I mean, do you rotate it to maybe make it better. Like, oh, we'll go to the fairgrounds one year, the super speedway another year to keep it kind of special, because you can't have 2 races in the same city on 2 different tracks. But I will say I was more pleasantly surprised. I thought it was a better race than I thought we were going to get.
So what's the deal? So again, the fairgrounds, what's the deal with that?
It's just in the local kind of government to where, and there's opposition naturally of people that, oh, we moved to live by a racetrack, but how dare them use the actual racetrack? It's going to pollute and make noise for our neighborhood.
Okay.
And so, because the track's kind of in a neighborhood, but it seems like it's probably going to get done. Bristol will sanction it. They've got all the pieces in place. They got renderings, kind of fixing it up just a little bit, and they want to move. I think a lot of people expected this race to hey, this will be a stopgap for the fairgrounds. We'll just got to get through this race, but it hasn't been terrible. I think these last few years with this next gen, which bodes the thing, that I feel like this next gen's intermediate package is better than the short track package. So why would you go to a short track when it's working at this package right now? So it's making a difficult decision for them, and maybe it's swaying them what they originally thought was going to be.
Well, yeah. And I guess the problem, though, is that even though it was better, the fact was that, again, it could, especially if you wind up adding a long green flag run late, it's just really, and I do have to, I was watching, I forget what happened. There was a time I stopped watching, because I didn't finish watching it Sunday night. So I stopped it when Truex was in that long pursuit of Hamlin. And then I picked it back up, and I could have rewound about 10 minutes or so, but I don't know why I picked up where I picked off, but I picked up, and it was about 10 minutes later, and Chastain was leading. And what happened during that period of time? Because it looked like Truex was forever trying to catch Hamlin, and Chastain was third. But then within 10 minutes, Chastain had the lead, and Truex and Hamlin were second and third, and then they pit, and then Truex wind up obviously with better track position out of the pits, and that's why it was Chastain, Truex, and Hamlin at the end. What happened? How did Chastain take the lead late?
The pit sequence.
Oh, they had another pit sequence.
Yeah, a pit sequence. I think he was making moves, but yeah, it all came down to the end, especially after the final pit sequence, was the 3 is Chastain, better pit time.
So what did he pit first or something?
I can't remember if he's first or last. I don't want to say it was one of the two. He was either the first on the 3 or the last of the 3. But that's how he cycled.
All right, yeah. Because but again, I mean, and that was the thing. As soon as Chastain, because I didn't have Hamlin on my picks, I had Chastain and Truex, and so I was happy to see Chastain with the lead. I just didn't know exactly how he got there. And to tell you the truth, I'm not even sure. I mean, Hamlin got there because of luck. Because he had that, who was it, Reddick?
Reddick lost the tire.
Yeah.
The pit cycle. Yeah, a lot of it you'll notice is pit cycle. That's how the things happen.
Yeah.
But hey, we nailed it though. We talked about that last week about Chastain. We spent a lot of time on Chastain.
That's right.
This is what we were wanting to see, and I think he answered our questions. I think he came, I mean, first ever pole, first win on a traditional oval, because he won a super speedway and then a road course. So it's a winless drought. Kind of feel like some momentum's coming back out of that camp again. So we'll see if they can keep it. But I think all the noise you hear around it, everything we talked about was legitimate. And you can see the emotion pouring out of them that, yes, this might be a new Ross Chastain, but it's also one that could be potentially dangerous too. But yeah, we talked about that last week.
Yep.
That with him, and it paid off. There he was winning.
Yeah, and like you said, we'll see now whether or not because he could be dangerous again this week. It's just that's very hard to win, as we know, back to back. But that could really let it, and especially since it's going to be more of a race where we're going to see a lot of potential for what we want as fans, altercations. That if Chastain's involved, then let's see if he's ready to be a bully on the street. So that'll be a big part. And now that he's got the win, and he's going to the playoffs. That should make things a little bit easier for him as well to be more, I wouldn't say reckless, but just be like the old Ross Chastain.
Yeah, because I think right now I think it kind of took care of itself with the Hendrick guys of his performance, and they kind of talked to him. So, I mean, if Larson or Byron and these guys want payback, I just don't think those are the type of issues that you're going to see. I don't think Hendrick wants to get involved with any more fights or any drama. I think Chastain, everybody that's wanted to pay him back is paying him back. I feel like he's getting some more respect. So, yeah, I think if I were him, especially this weekend, now that you got to win, and it's going to be, like you said, it's probably going to be your quote-unquote street fight up there. You may not want to spark any more enemies. Just get out of Dodge. You got your win. See what you can – have fun, and then really get the season back on track the week after. But, yeah, don't want to be sparking too many enemies this weekend.
All right. Fantasy-wise, your lead is starting to shrink, my friend.
Yep.
And you can check that out, of course, on racereviewonline.net. We always put a link in the description for you. So check that out. And that's really CJ. And we've been saying it. I mean, for him to have Byron, Kyle Busch, and Truex on his team, and Elliott, he's going to be real dangerous. And he has now won 3 straight weeks. He has pulled to within under 100 points. And he was about, 500 out? Just something a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
So he has really been kicking butt. I mean, he beat me by 70, and my driver won the race. That's how well he's been going lately. So, it's tightening up, and that's good. That's the way it should be with our fantasy teams. It should make for a lot of fun between now and the end of the regular season. Of course, we'll talk to him, CJ, definitely before the playoffs on our playoff preview show. Not sure if we're going to be able to talk to him before then, but we know we will talk to him by then. So, and really, again, change-wise, there just isn't a reason. Now, I think if anybody's going to make a change, I still think it's CJ. He's been holding on to Priest all season.
Yeah.
And it hasn't paid off for him at this point. He's the only guy that I would look at, and I would say, because for us, I mean, even though Cindric has been disappointing for me, he's the last guy I would say in my group along with McDowell, but they're so good on road courses that I'm going to keep them, of course. And for you, your end of the barrel guy is Suarez, but even you don't want to drop him either. He's also good on road courses, and it's too early to give up on him. And so when I look at Gibbs, Dillon, AJ, and Priest for CJ, well, AJ, we know him in the road courses, so he's not going anywhere. Dillon's fine. Gibbs has been better than early on in the season, so I don't think he's going anywhere. So, yeah, it's Priest. And then the question is, who does he get rid of Priest for? And I just don't know the answer to that is. Maybe it's Jones. We'll see what he does after an 8th place finish last week. Maybe that can get him going again. He's actually been not bad on road course style racing. So we'll see if maybe if he has a second consecutive top 10, maybe CJ might want to consider Eric Jones for Priest.
Yeah, because the reason that's kept him afloat was that top half, his top 4 drivers, because the bottom 4, in Allmendinger, I took him when we get to our picks. I took him this week, but I still don't trust he's going to – they just don't look like they're a race-winning type team right now. And I don't think Austin Dillon, he doesn't look like a race-winning guy right now. His whole bottom half, I would get rid of all 4, but as you said – who are you going to put in for him? So where our teams, at least, they're more consistently through the top. Like Suarez, if he didn't spin in qualifying, I think he's got a top 5 car. I mean, finished 12th from the back. Bubba's given me a lot. I'm not Harvick. He's good for a win at some point, especially in his last season. So, because I was looking at the same thing, do I make a move? But there's nobody on my team that's who are you going to drop? Because every one of them can get a win at some point. And Logano and Hamlin, they seem to ebb and flow like this. They're going to get hot. And so it's I guess just don't overthink it. Just keep it going. But his team is a very good road course team. So I fully expect his team to have another good week this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, maybe if he gets his team back, once he gets his team back, maybe I'd keep an eye on Chase Briscoe.
Yes, I wondered about that. The only one I contemplated Suarez for Briscoe, but I just trust Suarez more right now than
Yeah,
I mean, they're not
absolutely.
anything.
It's too early.
You almost can tell they're kind of planning for next year. They almost kind of punted on this year. It's like, all right, we're not gaining anything this year. Let's look more let's build for next year. We're so far down. We either got to win a race or we're not making the playoffs anyway. So maybe let's focus for next year and see if we get pleasantly surprised and still win somewhere. But yeah, some of these guys you're going to start seeing falling off more. And Jones is in a weird position to where they're not getting any manufacturer support because they're the smaller team, and they're also moving to Toyota next year. So they're just kind of in a lame duck status.
Yeah.
So it's I don't think they're like last year, the season went on, they won the Southern 500. Eric Jones was getting hot. They were like, okay, that's the team maybe for next year. Well, they're so far behind. Chevy's not going to give them any resources to close back up because they're going to Toyota. And they mentioned that. So they're just kind of guessing right now. So I think they're guessing right. But it's just hard to envision them doing much more than what they've done already.
Well, the reason why I'm still going to keep an eye on Jones is because of the fact that, and we talked about this before, is he really picked up things late in the season last year.
Yes.
And it started right around now. It started right around, he was 4th at Atlanta, 9th Pocono, 8th Michigan, 10th Watkins Glen, and then he won the first playoff race at Darlington. So So that's really where he started picking things up, and he was 8th last week. So he's the guy I'd be keeping an eye on. That's why I said if he has another top 10, I would even think about something myself. It's just that again, you've got these road course setups, and you've got road course drivers for a reason, and it's you got to that's the dilemma. But he's definitely worthy of a spot on one of our teams. If he has another good week this week, then we all have to think about him. So.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
All right. Let's see. Viewer comments. And last week, I touched up on the whole deal about liking the video. So if you like our videos and you enjoy them, then please hit the like button. Very important for the growth of our channel. So I talked a whole about scenarios on last week's show. So Alan Batt said, I first push like, then watch. So there you go.
Thank you.
Similar to what I said myself of what I do on a lot of videos, that I like the video, I like the channel owner, and that's what I do. And in gaming with Homie One Kenobi basically said the same, thumbs up. So both Alan and gaming with Homie One Kenobi, both with the like buttons before they even watch. Paul Moss, really appreciate your show and getting it out long enough before the race to use. Good luck. He also said, we talked about, we were wondering what happened to Elliott last year or 2 years ago at Nashville. And we put it out there to the viewers to let us know what happened when he was DQ'd. And Paul let us know that he was DQ'd in that race after the race for 5 loose lug nuts. So
basically a whole tire. That was when that was the one thing. My headphone falls out. Then I'm glad with the single lug, we're not dealing with these lug nut issues after races anymore. Because I was always like, you're seeing lug nuts, and that is one thing that I was glad to see go away with this one single supplier plug, basically for these tires. We're not having to worry about that anymore.
Okay, so let's get into the race. We've got about 15 to 20 minutes here to wrap this up. You've got a Zoom call with the whole media group, Indy, for Alex Palou.
Yeah, previewing the Sunday's race in Mid-Ohio. So, we got Alex Palou at 2 Eastern here. So, I'll get a chat with him and get his thoughts on the season so far and about this upcoming weekend, too. I mean, he dominated IndyCar. I know we'll get into my video later this week, but he's dominating right now. 2 straight podiums on this track, so his domination can go further. So, we'll chat with him about that.
And you have so there's a race this week.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So you will be doing an Indy report probably on Thursday, I would guess.
Yeah, I think that's what we've been doing was
okay.
Thursday. So stick to it. Yeah, we'll do Thursday again.
And then maybe we'll have some video and audio on the Palou press conference, especially your question. What do you get? 1 or 2 questions?
As many as I want. I usually try to be respectful, get a couple,
Cool.
because I know there's other people on the call. I don't want to be that guy that
Well,
takes up the
yeah.
whole time. But yes.
All right. Now, and this isn't going to be a very difficult race to handicap because there's never been a race
No,
before.
this is the 75-year history of NASCAR, the first street race.
Yeah.
So
we only have road courses to go by, and that's good, but it's still not a street race. But you do have to go by road courses more than anything, of course.
Yeah, because you're turning left and right. But even this course, there's really nothing similar because there's a lot of low-speed 90-degree corners, which be the tight turns. I believe out of the 9, I heard there's 4 or 5 of them are 90-degree turns. So almost over pretty much half the track, you're going to have a tight turn radius. So the drivers have said it's going to work one of two ways. It's going to be a complete chaos because they compared it to Indy's turn 1. Remember how they get fanned out and they barely feel like they could get through turn 1 and they wreck every lap.
Okay.
And Coda, how their first turn, how they
Yes.
spread out. They said it's going to look like that every lap.
What?
Or because they said out of the 9 turns, 5 of them are like those turns.
Whoa.
Or you're going to have everybody's going to not know what to expect and take it easy, and you could have a cleaner race because nobody knows what to expect. So,
well, we might have a cleaner race early.
Yeah, and it could be chaos at the cautions in the end because it's so tight. The restart zone to get going is not even on the straightaway. It's on the turn before you get to the straightaway.
Okay.
Because they want to try to get them spread out a little bit, and that tells you how tight this course is going to be. And there's no forgiving. So the NASCAR fans watching this that may not have paid attention to IndyCar F1, the difference is street races are downtown city streets, and there's walls on where at least like Indy, Coda, like I mentioned, there's runoff, there's grass, there's areas you can, if you get wide, you can go off track and come back on. Not on a street course. There's a wall there that's going to be waiting for you. And the turns are usually very, like I said, tight. There's not a lot. It's a city street. So as you guys driven downtown streets, how narrow these things kind of are.
It's going to be chaos.
That's what they're going to be running NASCARs down. So
how many cars do you think are going to be how many cars do you think won't make it to the end?
I'll put it I'm going to say make it to the end. I'll go 23. But I'm going to say out of the 23, you may only have 5 to 6 without maybe any damage. It's your guys that might be running up front all day. It's going to look like a Daytona or Talladega come the end of this.
Okay. That's what I think.
You're going to have some guys that are going to stay out of hey, look, I'm not going to – you guys all go wreck in turn 1. I'm going to ride back here and let you guys wreck, and then but
at some point,
I have a feeling you're going to see red flags because the track is going to be blocked off. There's going to be wrecks that's going to – and there might be some of those guys that are just lagging behind because they can't get through the wreck and might get collected in it. So it's going to be that type of race, which is why it's so hard to handicap because you have no idea who's going to get caught up and stuff because you could be an innocent bystander running 5th and 2nd and 3rd place make a run and they wreck and they clog the track and you don't get slowed up in time and you run into it. Or you slow up and somebody doesn't slow up behind you and knocks you into it. So it's going to be one of those races.
Should be fun.
That's why I didn't try to overthink it too much. Yeah, I just took the guys that have been good on road courses and are good on the season, and that's about all you can do.
And I was surprised that you guys didn't do more long shots because I figured, man, anything can happen. And I had to add. I added 6 100-to-1 shots.
I thought about it, and then I teased this last week, and I looked into it. Since 2018, we've had 10 new events added to the Cup Series schedule. 9 of them were won by Hendrick or Penske. And the other one was A.J. Allmendinger, who's a road course driver by nature at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So the big teams seem to win these first-time races. And that's why if we go over my picks, it's pretty much the big teams and guys that have been good at road courses. Because I thought the same. Like, maybe some of these longer shot guys, you never know. It just seems like the cream always rises to the top.
Sure.
So, which we'll get into deeper of those stats when we go to the drivers, because I got some stats to back this up, and I tied them driver specific. But yeah, it just seems the cream will always rise to the top on an inaugural event.
All right. We have a little bit of nostalgia here because we have 5 drivers we all picked.
Wow. That's weird because I was going to guess 4 or 5, just because I'm going to say Elliott.
No.
Oh wow, Larson.
Yes.
Truex.
No.
Oh, okay. Allmendinger.
Yes.
So that's 2. Kyle.
Yes.
Byron.
No.
McDowell.
Yes. One more.
So one more. Hamlin.
No. You and I took Hamlin.
Then I'm going to say Logano.
Correct.
Okay. I almost didn't go Logano. We'll get into why. But every time inaugural events, he strikes rich for me. So,
there you go.
Yep, that's why I took him.
That's absolutely it. It's the only reason. I wouldn't have taken him for any other reason.
Nope. Inaugural event, you take Logano. And he's always around these weird 28 to like 33 to 1. I think Bristol Dirt 2 years ago, I capped like 35 to 1. LA Coliseum, he was longer shot. Gateway was longer shot. It's like 28 to 1. He's right in that wheelhouse.
That's
where
it.
Logano's going to jump out and win this thing.
And we both put the same amount. We both put $7 on him to make
had to
200.
Yep.
So, all right. So yeah, as far as the 4 7-to-1 shots, I'm sticking with my strategy. I'm not going to go that way. CJ went with all 4. You went with 3. The only guy I picked was Larson, and I went with Larson because of the fact that he's now not 5-to-1, 4-to-1, even 6-to-1. I'm getting a generous 7-to-1. He's finally in an area that I could take him, and he's now got through 3 races in a row where he's been in the top 10. So he's coming a little bit away from that up and down, 35th, 4th, 35th, 5th. And that combination with the fact that we know we can race in this type of setting, I'm going. So I put the most money on Larson. I put a quarter of my money, 25 on Larson. But I stayed away from the other 3. We know how hot Truex is. There's no question about it. He is right now, out of these 4, he would have to be, if he didn't, I don't know. For me, it's just that he's doing so good. I just don't know if he's going to win again. It's just, so, but he's the one that I actually trust the most over Elliott or Reddick, to tell you the truth. Reddick, I just don't trust right now because of his last 3 races. And even the one that he didn't perform well. What was the road course, the last one? Sonoma. And then Elliott, no, not yet. I'm just not at 7-to-1. If you give me 10-to-1, but not when I can go with Larson and Truex at 7-to-1. Why would I take Elliott?
I thought Truex would have separated himself instead of grouping him all in because he's arguably the hottest driver right now.
Yep.
2 races in a row, he's in the top 2. 4 consecutive top 5s. He's got the points lead. No brainer to go his direction. Larson, he's since 2021, he's won 2 times on first visits back to it. He dominated Nashville in 2021, and then he just won North Wilkesboro, which nobody's raced there. Granted, they've used to race there in the past, but that was in '96. Nobody else in the field has raced there. He dominated that race, so had to go that direction. And Elliott, I looked, he's won 3 inaugural races since 2020, and all 3 of them were on road courses: Daytona road course, COTA, and Road America. So I thought, all right, well, he's won 3 in a row as far as road courses for inaugural races. Well, why not a 4th? So I went his direction. 5th at Sonoma. He's got 2 straight top 5 finishes, 4 top 7s in his last 5. I feel like he's getting better. So if I was going to take one at 7-1, I figured I might as well go all. So went that direction.
All right. And next, by the way, you were able to get a win last week. With Chastain, so maybe that'll
keep it going.
Maybe that'll get things going. And I'm now on a 6-race win streak. I don't think I've ever had it. I think the last time I had a 6-race win streak had to be like 5 years ago when I had that really big year before all the changes and before it got really crazy with parity. Um, so hopefully we can keep this going because you're gonna have a long winning streak. You gotta get lucky too, no question about
Yep,
that.
for sure.
11-1. You got AJ and Chastain. We all stayed away from Chastain, and I'm guessing it's because again it's hard to win 2 straight. Otherwise, we know he can drive in these types of settings. He won Coda last year. He's always solid here. But that was it for me. And for AJ, yeah, I've usually stayed away from him, but I just felt, this type of setting, I want a guy like AJ up there, especially because the last 2 races, 10th and 6th, so that's good. He's got a couple top 10s. That's been as good as he's had all season. And one of those, of course, was 6th at Sonoma. So, I haven't been taking Larson and AJ into spot lately, but I just think this is a good week to go that route, especially going to AJ with a street race. He's got to be up there with one of the top guys that you can count on. That if there's an unknown in a street race kind of setting, then he should be okay.
Yeah, there's 3 guys in the field that I know of. I'm pretty sure, confident saying it, that have any street racing experience. Granted, it came in the open wheel ranks, and AJ's one of them. So that's figured. Hey, there's got to be an experience in this factor somewhere. So 11-1, I thought was a little low, but you also just throw the number aside. Do you think he can win? I don't know if he can win outright other places, but here could be one of them. He was 6th in Sonoma, 10th last week in Nashville. It seems like they're getting better.
Yeah.
He won the Xfinity race in Nashville, and out of his 18 career Xfinity or Cup victories, if you combine them, 12 of them have come on road courses. He won the inaugural race in the Indianapolis Motor Speedway road course. So 11-1, I don't like it. I'd rather him be 15, 16-1.
Yeah, I think Kyle Busch and AJ's odds should have switched.
I do too. I was shocked, but at the end of the day, you're still double digits, and if you feel good about it, you still should take him. So 11-1. Yeah, and Chastain, I just didn't trust he was going to win 2 straight weeks. He's won over a year. Is he going to win 2 times in 7 days, especially on a track like this? I felt he's kind of admitted to temper it down a little bit, and I just don't see him jumping back out of it now that he won a race. It's like, why would you go back to that? So I think he plays it somewhat safe. I think a top 10 could be good for him as long as he get caught up in
absolutely.
something. But a win, I just don't think so yet.
Yeah, we all took Kyle. Why not? 2nd in both road course races this year. Last 5 races, all top 10s, including a win and a runner-up. Yeah, and you're getting a pretty good number here for Kyle at 14-1.
Yeah, I grouped him and Byron together in a sense because it feels like these inaugural races, the championship front runners lately have been winning. You look at Kyle Larson, as I mentioned, won the 2021 Nashville inaugural race. He won the championship that year. Joe Logano won the Coliseum and Gateway last year. He won the championship last year. One could say Byron and Busch, they've each got 3 wins this year, probably 2 of your championship favorites, and you're getting a good number on 14-1 with Kyle and 16-1 with Byron. So if you're going to take one, you might as well take them both. Kyle, this car won 2 road course races last year. Kyle in it now has finished runner-up in both road course races, and you get him for 14-1. He won an inaugural race at Kentucky Speedway in 2011. He has 3 wins, like I said, in 2023, and 5 straight top 10 finishes. So just kind of felt you might as well take him. And I grouped Byron because of that. Hendrick winning half of the last 10 inaugural races. Byron just seems like he's destined to come up next. He's 3 wins on the season, 5th at Coda. Granted, he's 14th at Sonoma, but Sonoma, that's his worst finish since April. That's the only time he's finished worse than 8 since April was at Sonoma. This track isn't going to race like Sonoma, so 16-1 for a title contender, you got to take him.
Now, you took 3 of the top 4 favorites. CJ took all 4. I took 1, and instead, I took all 3 20-1 shots. You took 1. CJ took 1. We all took the same one, McDowell. So I took Bell and Buscher as well. So I don't know. I haven't taken Bell in a while. I think this might be a good week. You're getting generous odds. We know he can drive on these road course setups. And let's keep in mind, Toyota's one, and this actually is a reason why I've added a few Toyota drivers. Not Bell. Bell, I like him anyway, but I added Hamlin and Gibbs because they're Toyota drivers. But because maybe Toyota's got something going on this year with these types of setups. But Bell, I'm very confident with that he's gonna do well. He's trending in the right direction, and I like the 20-1 odds. And I just can't not take Buescher in these setups, especially with the way he's going this year. 8th at Coda, 4th at Sonoma. And again, we all like McDowell, who was in contention to win at Sonoma. This is his best setup and his best shot. So what about these three?
Yeah, I like him. Bell, I feel like he's the next one that 21's gonna be one that's like, oh man, I should have taken him. I could regret it because you also look at him his last 4 races. He's improving again. 24th to 11th to 9th to 7th. He's trending back. He won the Roval last year. Toyota should be good. They're 2 for 2 this year. They won 3 in a row, going back to that Bell. Winning the Roval.
That's right.
Ford's,
3 in a row. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah. Ford's kind of scare me in a sense. They only led 4 laps at Coda. They led 1 in Sonoma. They only led 2 laps this past Sunday. They've led 9 or fewer laps in 6 of the last 7 races on the season. I feel like they're trending backwards. That's what scared me with Buescher. McDowell, he's one of the other guys with street course experience. As you mentioned, he was probably the second best car to Truex in Sonoma. So for 20-1, granted, pretty low number for McDowell, 20-1. He's
true,
kind of hovering around 50 to 60-1,
yeah.
But he's a good pick this week, especially one if you can find a top 5, top 10 play with McDowell. I would go that direction. And same for Bell. I think he'll be around the top 10. I don't know why he wouldn't be, especially when he's been improving this much. So that's a great group on 20-1 for because with their odds of 21 for outright win, you're going to get good play for them for top 5 and top 10. You might as well double down in that market.
And wrapping it up, again, you and I both took Hamlin. For me, it was only because he's driving a Toyota, plus he did qualify on the pole at Sonoma. So 25-1, good odds on a veteran driver. I did that. Again, we talked about Logano. We all took Logano. And then I also took Gibbs. And then the 100-1 drivers, and again, Gibbs was because it's Toyota. But the 100-1 drivers, Dillon, Gilliland, Haley, Jones, Stenhouse, and I'll put $1 on them, and I put 3 on Wallace at 100-1. And I see, and I did not take Cindric. It's funny that you guys took Cindric. I didn't. I've been taking him lately, and he just is not getting it done. And I understand it's a road course setup, and I understand that, but I'm having a hard time believing that with all the bad luck he's had, and it's just not going for him, that he's just going to find it this week. So I stood away from Cindric. If there was one driver I would have added a couple more bucks with, if I had it, it would have been him. But both of you guys did take Cindric.
And I only went with him over Bell. That's the only reason. Bell was my first one out, Cindric my last one in, because of the street course experience. Because I went with McDowell and Allmendinger. I might as well go with the guy at 30-1 because I'd be kicking myself if I was like, out of the 3, you went with the 2 with lower odds. You took the 30-1, he left off. But he's got street experience, especially in a sports car, because he ran in sports cars on the street course before. So he's had a top over his head on these places. He's a good road racer. But as you said, he's had some terrible luck this year, and he needs to win bad. So a lot of times I feel like you're chasing with him because he could get caught up in a wreck. It seems like the trends are he's probably going to get caught up in something. But on the off chance, 30-1, I didn't want to sleep on him too much.
And then just quickly, Blaney, it's been all bad luck the last couple of races. So he's not doing anything wrong. He's just, we've talked about, he goes through these stretches. And now that's the only reason. Otherwise, I think he could be a bargain at 30-1. I also think Harvick could be a bargain at 30-1 because he's very consistent, top 15 on the road course setup. So he was second at Roval. And then, Bowman is sometimes interesting. So yeah, those are some of the, and again, Wallace, I put a few extra bucks on, because I think he's getting way too much. I think the 100-1, I'm surprised he's getting that much.
Yeah, that was a little high for him. Yeah, for sure.
Your top 3?
I'm going to say Truex because he's hot. I'm going to say Elliott because the road course swing. And I'll go Kyle Busch because it seems like he's in the top 3 in all these races. So
your top long shot?
I'm going to say, I'm just going to say Logano only because he keeps winning these things.
Right.
And he's a long shot this week.
Eric, appreciate it. What's next week?
Thank you. That Super Speedway.
Atlanta.
Yeah.
Is that Atlanta next week?
That is.
All right.
There.
So again, so we're going to do the show live. We'll let everybody know. It'll be the last hour. We will. I don't know how we'll keep up, but we'll try to figure out a way to let you know. Maybe we'll put a note in the discussion area ourselves, just to keep an eye. But keep an eye out for Sunday next week. But I shouldn't even say what we should. We'll talk about it next week. We still have another show to talk. So yeah. So we'll preview that next week. All right. So enjoy the race on Sunday, Eric. Appreciate it as always, and I'll talk to you in a couple of days for your IndyCar report.
Good.
And have fun with your Zoom call with Alex Palou.
Thank you. Appreciate it.